The Olympics are here, and there's no better time to talk about the connection that sneakers have with the Olympics. So let's get into it. This is Fire Footwear. Welcome back to Fire Footwear, everybody. As always, this is your host, Matt Freitz. I hope that this finds everybody well. I want to thank you for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. This week, we're going to talk about the Olympics. This is something that I enjoy very, very much. I don't know what it is about the Olympics, but I feel like the fact that it only happens every 4 years, that it's so different than anything that we watch in terms of sports. And sports and sneakers obviously have had a connection for a very, very long time. But the Olympics, there's something special about it. I know for me, to get into it a little bit, I think the fact that it's special to me is the training that goes into it, how much preparation and how much dedication it takes for these athletes to do what they do. Not every single sport in the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics is something that everybody has access to. Not every sport is created equal. Obviously, some of the events take a little bit more training than others. If you're going to be a marathon swimmer or a speed swimmer, that's a little bit different than maybe being a shooter or something like that. But it shouldn't be diminished, the fact that it takes a lot of work to get to the Olympics. And when you get to the Olympics, you are seen as the world's best at that time. And there's something about representing your country. Now, I understand in today's world, no matter where it is that you live, wherever it is that you're listening, all the countries that we live in have some issue that we feel could be fixed. And this is not a political statement. I think it's just a fact. However, I think representing our country, seeing our country's colors, hearing our country's national anthem, for the most part, I think that elevates a situation and elevates an event to the highest order. And I know for me, that's how I feel watching it. But when I think about the Olympics today, and you talk about social media, you go look at all these sneaker sites and everything, all you see is that Nike and other brands are using this as an opportunity to market new shoes or market old colorways or what have you. And it makes a lot of sense in today's world because obviously this is an athletic competition. Everybody in the world is watching it. Social media is going to cover it like crazy. So it makes a lot of sense that Nike or any other brand would try to have new silhouettes or old silhouettes or whatever out there so that people could consume them to try to give some type of a spotlight. And one of the things that I actually do like is that Nike created this Olympic pack for all the athletes. Of course, brands are going to sponsor things or what have you, and Nike is one of the sponsors of Team USA. So it's actually really, really awesome to see some of these amazing colorways and amazing packs of apparel and things because the Olympians are getting treated very, very well. The Olympians are, of course, out there. They are a focal point of the Olympics. There are no Olympics without these Olympians. And so Nike right now, based off of all this, has a spotlight on all of their gear. One of the things that I will say about this, and we're going to get into some of the things that are being released to commemorate the Olympics, and also we're going to talk about what I feel are some of the best Olympic sneakers of all time. If I had a gripe at what was going on, some of these colorways that are coming out in terms of historical colorways, they are releasing them after the Olympics. And I understand that you can't release all of the Olympic-inspired shoes during the Olympics. But my question for Nike becomes, why haven't they been released prior to? After the fact, there's 4 years until the next Olympics. And I don't know about you, but for me, the success that the United States has, no matter what sport it's in, doesn't really translate after the fact. I love watching the Olympics while they're on, but I'm already looking forward to the next one because it's over. And that's not really a referendum on our attention spans today. It just means that the games are over. And when things are over, we tend to start moving on. And even some of the greatest moments, we will relive those, but we're not going to relive them in a way that we're going to be buying Olympic shoes in late August or early September. And it seems like there's a little bit of a misstep on some of these brands for putting out some of these shoes after the Olympics. Now, with some of the historical ones that we're going to talk about, it made a little bit of sense because it was a brand new colorway. I'm talking about for some of these shoes like the Anthony Edwards 1. Strike while the iron is hot. Release the Olympic colorway while he's actually in the Olympics. He's probably going to be wearing some of them. Complex and Sneaker News, their social media accounts are showing all of these different shoes that are there. Some of them aren't even available to buy. So that seems like it's a little bit of misstep on Nike's part and other brands' part as well. But really, these brands are doing a great job. And let's talk about some of the brands and some of the shoes that are being released to commemorate these Olympics. And it's not just the Olympics, it's also Paris themed as well. Paris is one of those cities that has this allure to it, and it has a lot of unique qualities about it. And I think that they're playing into that a little bit. But let's start. The Jordan 6 Paris Olympics. It's a gray upper with gold accents. That's about as Olympics as you get. Gold medals are obviously synonymous with the Olympics. They're synonymous with being the best. And so a Jordan 6 with just this gray upper. Looks like it's nice materials. Hopefully the accents are good. So if you're a Jordan 6 person, that seems to be one that you should go for. One of the old colorways, the Kobe 4 gold medal. This is one of the greats out there. They are re-releasing it to commemorate these Olympics, and they're not commemorating these Olympics, but they're commemorating Kobe's Olympics from back in the day, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. The Safari Olympics pack, there's been a ton of them. The SB Dunk Low, the Blazer Mid, the Janowski, the new SB PS8. You've seen some of those in the skateboarding competition, which has actually been pretty neat. I like that. The Safari is a good look. I'm not really sure what it has to do with the Olympics, but obviously there's some connection there, and so they're playing into that. The Jordan 4 Wet Cement, as they're calling it. Now, they were called Paris for a while, but they kind of changed it to Wet Cement, and the whole idea is it was supposed to mimic the wet cement sidewalks of Paris. A little bit of a stretch, but I've seen the review on Wear Testers, and it looks like the materials, everything, the packaging, they went all out there. Got to give it to Jordan Brand for that. The Dunk Low Escargot. I've had Escargot. It's an interesting culinary experience. I recommend you trying it at least once, but I'm not really sure what these shoes have to do with Escargot. But hey, do whatever you have to do to sell that money. The Air Max 1 Olympic. Now, I did see an Instagram follower of mine wearing them. I should have pulled the trigger on them. They're probably still available on Nike.com. Red, white, blue, mostly white, gold accents. It was a perfect execution of a US-inspired or Olympic-inspired Air Max 1. And go out there and buy it if that's something that you're interested in. The Puma Suede, which is obviously a silhouette that has been around forever. It is iconic, but Usain Bolt having a collaboration with it, obviously, I think they just kind of slapped his name on it to give a little bit of oomph to the Puma Suede, but Usain Bolt, one of the greatest Olympians of all time, can't really go wrong there. And Asics, who is one of the premier running brands out there, the Gel Cayano Olympic gold medals. It actually has silver, gold, bronze on it. I think that's really neat. Those are some of the shoes that have come out that have sort of been inspired by the Olympics or helped to get hyped up for the Olympics, and I kind of like a lot of that. But what are we actually here to talk about? We're here to talk about some of the greatest Olympic sneakers of all time. Ever since the Dream Team, I think that sneakers have had a place in the Olympics, more specifically in basketball, but we've seen them in a lot of different places with these athletes. And I think that the Dream Team kind of took Olympians and elevated things. We sent professional basketball players over to dominate the world in the Olympics. And I think what happened was these Olympians then started to become celebrities in a way. And that has continued to grow. Where when you talk about some of the greatest in the world in the Olympics, the Katie Ledeckis, the Michael Phelps, all of these people are celebrities in one way or another. And especially with social media now, everybody is an influencer, a celebrity of some kind. And I think this really started in 1992. So that's where we're going to start here with the Air Force 180 Olympic. Now, this is modeled after something that Charles Barkley wore on that Dream Team, one of the best basketball teams to ever be assembled. And so this is a nice shoe. This one is something that on my Instagram feed in our group chat, somebody talked about, and I'm not even sure if they remember it, but shout out to Kari for this one. The Nike Flyknit Trainer Volt Black. This was in 2012. And the thing that makes it so different is every US athlete on the medal stand was seen with these. And you'd think, how the hell does Volt, or what does it have to do with the Olympics? But that's kind of the point, is it was so eye-popping that you couldn't help but see it. And the shoe was fire. This is back when Flyknit was really, really big. I remember being in the running space and thinking about Flyknit and whether I should transition to it. It didn't really last in that regard. But back then, man, this was a fire shoe. And if you go back and look at the athletes from 2012 on the medal stand, you're going to see a lot of these. It was a fire shoe and it was eye-popping. They really, really hit a home run with that. The Nike Uptempo Olympic. Now, this is re-releasing a little bit later this year in 2024 to commemorate the Olympics, but 1996, Scottie Pippen, the Olympics after the Dream Team in Atlanta. Honestly, this is a fantastic shoe. The Uptempo is one of the iconic shoes with the Air written on the side, but of course you get the navy blue, you get the white. Re-releasing it for those who love it, but that one is definitely up there for me. I did an episode way back about the Foamposite, and a shout out to Julius because he is a big Foamposite guy, and honestly, anybody from the DMV who's listening, big Foamposite people. But the Foamposite 1 Olympic, it was released in July of 2016 in prep for the Rio Games. I mean, it's an Olympic foamposite. It actually makes the foamposite look amazing. Now, outside of the OG colorway, which is the iconic or the most iconic of them, this is a pretty damn fire shoe. So I'm definitely in the camp of this has got to be on your list of Olympic shoes, because you take a foamposite, which I realize today maybe doesn't translate to younger people, but the execution of this particular one was fantastic. We already mentioned the Kobe 4 gold medal. This dropped in 2009 to commemorate Team USA's gold in the Beijing Games in 2008. It is returning in 2024 in honor of the Paris Olympics, and honestly, in honor of Kobe Bryant's legacy in the Olympics. This is the second Olympics since we lost Kobe, but all the memories that he gave us as part of Team USA have not diminished in any way. And so this is an iconic shoe, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more a little bit later. The LeBron 10 Sport Pack Gold Medal. This is from 2012. It came out after the Olympics to commemorate the 2012 team's gold medal. This is a great looking shoe. The LeBron 10, to me, even though it maybe doesn't hold up today, I loved it. I love the futuristic look of it. And honestly, I think this was just another one. Whenever you put red, white, blue, and gold together, it just makes you feel a way. And I just feel that way about this shoe and a lot of the other shoes on here. We already talked about Kobe Bryant, the Nike Hyper Dunk Supreme Black Mamba. Kobe actually wore these during the 2008 Beijing Olympics, and obviously the history is there. They won the gold medal. Kobe looked amazing, dunking on a bunch of guys, the Redeem Team. And I remember that famous moment where he plowed over Pau Gasol, and you knew that they meant business after coming home with bronze in 2004. And this shoe right here was part of that history. One of the greatest things I've ever seen in Olympic basketball history was Vince Carter's dunk in the 2000 Sydney Games. And he did that in the Nike Shox BB4 Olympics. Man, those were fire. Now, the Nike Shox to me were kind of whack in terms of their technology and the way that they looked. I think that they fit for late 90s, early 2000s, and it definitely fit at the time for the NBA. But man, this is an iconic moment. This is an iconic shoe, and it has to be on this list. We have 3 more to go, and this next one is not a basketball player. But if you watched the Olympics in 1996, you watched track and field, you watched Michael Johnson. I can remember watching that on my deck outside with this little 12-inch black and white television that my dad had. And it was appointment television, the 100, the 200, and he did so in those solid gold cleats. Iconic moment, iconic shoes, that has to be up here. And they were just, I don't know, there was something about it at the time that just spoke to people. And you saw him wearing those. This was in a time where you didn't see athletes all the time. They weren't on social media. For you to see these on television, iconic moment. 2 more to go. And this one is a shout out to the WNBA. It's a shout out to Cheryl Swoops, and it is the Nike Air Swoops 2. Now, this came out in 1995. She wore it in 1996, which I believe was the first Olympic Games that women were allowed to compete in basketball. And obviously the U.S. women are dominant. They have won so many gold medals. I'm not even sure they've lost an Olympic game in a very, very long time. And Cheryl Swoops was one of the best to ever do it. And this shoe was the second iteration of her first iteration, the Air Swoop. Honestly, I think this one was better. They did a little bit of different things with it, and it had its moment in those Olympics on home soil. And I think number one for a lot of people, it doesn't mean it's the best, but I just think it's the most iconic because of the moment. The Jordan 7 Dream Team or Olympic colorway obviously wore that on the medal stand. The Dream Team famously dominated everybody, changed the trajectory of international basketball. Everything about the shoe is iconic. The man, the shoe, the moment, the time period. 1992 really changed everything for the Olympics. It changed everything for U.S. Olympians. And I think it firmly set sneakers on the map in the Olympics. What are some of the best Olympic shoes that you think of? We're going to get to that, but first, the release of the week. Release of the week, where I like to talk about a shoe that catches my eye. It's not always hype. Sometimes it is. In this case, it might actually be. It's just something that I want you to know about. I already talked about it twice, the Kobe 4 gold medal. It is releasing on August 6th. It is probably one of the better Kobe colorways. I understand that I did a video and an episode about Kobe colorways in 2024. This is not one of them. And I realize that it may be hard to pull off, but it's a piece of history. And so go after it however you can get it because it's iconic. It is definitely patriotic and it pays homage to one of the best players to ever don the Team USA uniform, and that is Kobe Bryant. What do you think are some of the best Olympic shoes? Get in touch with me. Instagram at Fire Footwear Pod is the handle to do that there. I'd love to add more people to our group chat. We chat every day. It's a great little chat. If you want to call and give me a sneaker story or give me your opinion on this, you can call the Fire Footwear voicemail line. That is area code 202-643-9170. And that is in the United States. So make sure to hit the applicable country code if you call. Leave me a voicemail. Let me know how long you've been listening. Let me know your opinion, and I would love to feature it on a future episode. If you want to see some reels, TikTok at Fire Footwear Pod is the handle. If you want to watch some videos to accompany some of these episodes, YouTube, Fire Footwear, a sneaker podcast is what you would search. I'm appreciative that everybody listens to the show however they listen to it. If you are listening on Spotify or you're listening on Apple, a rating, a review, it's very, very appreciated and keeps this show charting and keeps this show discoverable. Hope this finds everybody well. I hope this finds everybody safe. And I will talk to you all next week. This is Fire Footwear. The opinions and viewpoints expressed on Fire Footwear are those of Matt Freitz and his guests, and not necessarily those of the Matty Ice Media Network. Fire Footwear is exclusively owned by Matt Freitz and is brought to you by the Matty Ice Media Network.